In 1945, America believed its atomic secrets were locked away atop a remote New Mexico mesa, so secure that experts said the Soviets would need a decade to catch up. By 1949, Stalin had a working nuclear bomb, built years ahead of schedule. How did the world's most guarded project become an open channel for Soviet intelligence, and who were the insiders who made it possible? The answer begins with the confidence and the blindness inside Los Alamos itself. Perched on a windswept mesa in northern New Mexico, Los Alamos seemed untouchable. The lab's creators chose its location for isolation, accessible only by a single road and guarded day and night by armed military police. Every person entering or leaving faced a checkpoint where soldiers checked identity badges against strict rosters. Staff wore numbered badges at all times, and daily drills drilled the habit in. Unauthorized visitors were turned away, and even scientists could not move freely between buildings without clearance. The sense of security ran deeper than fences and guards. Inside, information was tightly compartmentalized. Physicists, engineers, and technicians worked in separate teams, each with access only to the fragments of the project they needed. Details of bomb design were split among divisions, and few people could see the whole picture. Letters home were censored. Outgoing mail passed through a special codename system that disguised the lab's true nature. Even phone calls were monitored or prohibited. The Army's Counterintelligence Corps, working with the FBI, watched for signs of espionage. Security briefings warned of the consequences for leaks. The official line, repeated in Washington and in the press, was that the project's secrets were safe, so well protected that no foreign power could hope to catch up for at least a decade. Confidence in these measures shaped every decision, from hiring to daily operations. The fortress mentality at Los Alamos was not just a policy, but a point of national pride. The idea that such a stronghold could be breached seemed unthinkable. Klaus Fuchs arrived at Los Alamos in 1944, a quiet, methodical physicist in the theoretical division. Born in Germany, he had escaped Nazi persecution, joined the Communist Party, and carried a deep belief that scientific knowledge should not be controlled by a single nation. In his 1950 confession, Fuchs explained that he passed atomic secrets to the Soviets because he feared a world in which the United States alone held such power. He said he was balancing the scales, not betraying his colleagues. Over the course of his work, Fuchs delivered detailed reports on implosion design, critical mass calculations, and test results. Soviet scientists would later call that material magnificent. Theodore Hall was just 19 years old when he joined the project, working on the plutonium bomb's implosion group. Hall's code name in Soviet cables was MLAD, which means the young one. Years later, Hall described his decision as a matter of conscience. He believed that if only the United States possessed atomic weapons, the world would be at risk of nuclear blackmail. Hall's reports offered Moscow a clear conceptual map of the bomb's structure, reinforcing what Fuchs had already delivered. David Greenglass, a machinist and army sergeant, entered Los Alamos through a different door. He was drawn in by his brother-in-law Julius Rosenberg, and motivated by a mix of loyalty, ideology, and the promise of modest payments. Greenglass provided sketches and assembly details, crude but practical, passed through family channels rather than political networks. His testimony in court later revealed both the mechanics of his spying and the ways personal bonds could override security. Harry Gold, a Philadelphia chemist, served as the courier who linked these scientists to Soviet handlers. Gold moved between cities and safe houses, collecting envelopes of notes and diagrams, never fully understanding the science he carried. In his own confession, Gold said he acted out of humanitarian conviction, convinced he was serving a greater good. Through his hands, the secrets of Los Alamos traveled quietly to Moscow, bypassing fences, guards, and every layer of American security. Blueprints and technical reports left Los Alamos in manila envelopes, folded pages packed with diagrams, equations, and measured results. The most valuable secrets were not simply lists of materials or assembly steps, but the precise geometry of the explosive lenses used to compress a plutonium core. These lens drawings revealed how to shape high and low velocity explosives into a perfect sphere, knowledge that took American scientists years of failed experiments to master. Alongside the lens designs, packets included tables of predicted and measured yields from the Trinity test, with figures showing the explosive force achieved and the efficiency of the implosion. Reports detailed how dozens of detonators had to fire within microseconds of each other, and how the symmetry of the blast determined whether the bomb would function or fizzle. Test data from Los Alamos, including the R'Ala experiments and Trinity's final yield, gave Soviet physicists a clear benchmark for what worked in practice. With these documents, Moscow could bypass trial and error, moving directly to a working definition of the implosion assembly, the heart of the atomic bomb. The information stitched together by Fuchs, Hall, and Greenglass turned the abstract problem of nuclear weapons into a concrete engineering blueprint ready for replication. Encrypted Soviet cables intercepted by the US Army's Signal Intelligence Service began to reveal the presence of an inside source at Los Alamos long before the public ever heard the names Klaus Fuchs or Theodore Hall. These messages, codenamed and heavily encrypted, traveled between New York and Moscow in the years 1944 and 1945. American codebreakers working under the project name Venona spent years painstakingly decrypting fragments, matching codenames like Charles and Emilade to biographical details that fit only Klaus Fuchs and Theodore Hall. The cables described a German-born physicist in the British mission, stationed at the laboratory in New Mexico, providing detailed data on plutonium bomb design, critical mass, and implosion lens geometry. Another set of messages referred to a young American physicist at Los Alamos reporting on the structure of the bomb used at Nagasaki. Internal analyst cross-checks confirmed that the technical content in these messages matched what only a handful of insiders could have known. The Venona decrypts, once classified above top secret, provided the first documentary evidence that atomic secrets had left Los Alamos not by rumor or suspicion, but by deliberate transmission, encrypted, routed through clandestine channels, and delivered straight to Moscow. John Earl Haynes, a historian of Cold War intelligence, points to the Venona decrypts as the turning point in understanding atomic espionage. He notes that intercepted Soviet cables, decrypted by American codebreakers, identified codenames Charles and MLAD, matching the backgrounds of Klaus Fuchs and Theodore Hall. Combined with Fuchs's confession in 1950, the evidence leaves little doubt detailed implosion designs and test results left Los Alamos for Moscow during the war. Richard Rhodes, author of The Making of the Atomic Bomb, emphasizes the technical leap this information provided. He explains that implosion was the most challenging problem the Manhattan Project faced, requiring thousands of experiments and years of failed attempts. For Soviet scientists to receive American blueprints, lens geometries, and test data was, as Rhodes puts it, like being handed the answer key to the hardest exam in physics. Pavel Podvig, a historian of the Soviet nuclear program, describes how Kurchatov's team in Moscow used these materials. Reviewing Soviet design minutes and laboratory notebooks, Podvig finds that RDS-1 was not a rough imitation, but a close engineering cousin of Fat Man. The similarity, he says, is almost impossible to explain without access to classified American designs. Soviet physicists bypassed years of uncertainty, moving straight to a proven implosion layout. A seismology historian adds that when the Soviet bomb was finally tested in August 1949, the long-range detection system picked up the blast through seismic signals and airborne debris. Detection logs from Alaska, Japan, and Europe, followed by radiochemical analysis, confirmed the event. The evidence forced Washington to accept that the nuclear monopoly had ended years ahead of schedule. On August 29, 1949, seismographs across Alaska, Japan, and Europe registered a sudden, powerful disturbance emanating from the Kazakh steppe. The waveforms bore the unmistakable signature of a massive explosion, far beyond any known conventional blast. Within days, US Air Force WB-29 aircraft swept the upper atmosphere downwind of Semipalatinsk, collecting invisible particles on filter paper. Laboratory analysis revealed short-lived isotopes xenon-133, barium-140, and lanthanum-140, consistent only with a recent nuclear detonation. The combination of seismic records and radiochemical evidence left no doubt. The Soviet Union had detonated an atomic bomb. The proof was written in the isotopes drifting across the Pacific. News of the Soviet atomic explosion reached Washington as a shock that cut through months of guarded optimism. For weeks, officials debated how much to reveal, weighing intelligence briefings and technical reports behind closed doors. On September 23, 1949, President Harry Truman issued a single, measured sentence from the White House. He said, "We have evidence that within recent weeks an atomic explosion occurred in the USSR." The words landed with the weight of finality. In a moment, the illusion of American nuclear exclusivity disappeared. Newspapers printed the statement in bold type, and the public realized the nuclear age was no longer an American domain. The world's balance of power, once thought secure for a generation, had changed in an instant. Every nuclear state now lives in a world shaped by stolen secrets, not unbreakable vaults. As cyber espionage and insider threats grow, the lesson endures. The greatest dangers rarely come from outside the walls, but from those already trusted within. What do you make of it? Let me know below.